Now this is the final in our series of 4 short videos on the industries that we know existed in Pompeii due to its sources. The last one we want to talk about is, of course, food. I left this to last because I know as soon as I talk about food, some of you are going to get hungry and leave. So stay with me, it's only a short video. Let's talk food and the information we've gathered already, and we look at the source material. Okay, you can see in our first section we're going to be talking about bread baking, wine making, olive oil production, and garum, okay, which is a fish paste sauce, and it's pretty smelly. Okay, now these are significant to the Pompeian economy. Many of the houses had bread ovens and millstones in them for grinding up the grain. It looks like some families bake their own bread, but it's pretty clear most families seem to be buying from bakeries. Now there's at least 30 bakeries being identified in Pompeii. Some of them are really, really large, and they seem to have only supplied to shops. So this is like your tip-top bread factory. They don't sell to the public, they only sell to other businesses. They had large, numerous millstones and had nowhere that customers could go and buy bread. These large millstones were turned around by donkeys. The donkeys were tethered up to the millstones, and when Vesuvius erupted, the donkeys died where they were tied. Skeletons have been found of the donkeys in those areas. Other bakeries were quite small, and they had ovens a little bit like modern wood-fired pizza ovens, and these are still used in Naples today, and they often had a retail shop front. In a way, I think these places might be a little bit like the relatively small cafeterias where you can go and get your wood-fired pizza, okay, where you can watch it. And I'm sure some of you have been to places where they have the small wood-fire pizza ovens. Now, the bakery of Modestus actually was preserved with 81 loaves of bread in the oven. We know, therefore, the bread is round, and it was able to be broken into 8 neat segments. So, we actually have quite a lot of detail about the bread. There were about 10 different varieties of bread available. That's a fairly significant thing to find. This is not some simple industry. This is a pretty well-developed bakery industry. Wall paintings show that loaves would be put on a counter with baskets of bread rolls around it and so on. Okay, the wall paintings again acted as a form of advertising. We also know there was a significant wine industry in Pompeii, and Pompeii was known for its wines. Wall paintings show the production process, and we've got a very good idea of how they made their wine. Wine jars are labelled with inscriptions of the names of the families on them. These have been found by archaeologists, similar to the way we put labels on wine bottles. It's saying who made this wine, where they were from. And we know that Pompeian wine was exported because it's been identified across the Aegean near Greece. It's been found in the Greek island of Crete, and it's been found in other regions of Italy. So think of Pompeii as a place where its wine industry is perhaps a little bit like the Barossa Valley in Australia, where the wine gets sent out to other locations. Olive oil. The stone olive oil presses, which squeeze all the juice out of olives, have been found throughout areas of Pompeii. And something that's really interesting is in the Pompeii archaeological site, there have been olive groves replanted to give a sense of what it might have looked like at the time. There's one set of presses in the House of Painted Capitals that is particularly well preserved. Paintings of these timber presses have also been found in the House of Veti, which shows the entire production process. Now, the garum industry seems to be very, very important in Pompeii, but only one shop has been located. Containers of garum have been found all over Pompeii. We know it's a big industry, but there's not many shops or factories located in Pompeii. Archaeologists and historians are guessing that's because garum really smells. So most of the work with garum happened in another seaside town nearby, and then it was brought into Pompeii. Pompeii was the place where it was sold, Pompeii was the place where it was consumed, but it wasn't the place that made the garum in a major way. They did that somewhere else, like in an industrial area outside the main town. So let's have a look at a few sources here. On the left, you can see the artwork I'd mentioned to you of the counter of a bakery, and you can see the divisions of the number of sections of round loaves. And you can see the basket of bread rolls in the corner. You can see a child and his parents buying bread off the baker. So we have a sense of how this operates. We have a sense also of the clothes people wore. We have also a sense of what they wore on their feet. There's quite a lot of detail archaeologists can get from a simple source like that one. Also, I've provided for you a secondary source giving a sense of what it must have looked like when slaves were working in the bakeries. You can see the millstone being turned here by a slave, but these millstones were also turned by donkeys, as we've mentioned earlier. Finally, in the last image, you can see the dried garum, the sauce, that is in a pot, okay, that has been broken. We can actually see these from all over Pompeii. An intact pot is at the back. So this is evidence of what's actually in the fish sauce paste. And that was very famous across the Roman world.